We are live, Andrew.
Hey Ching, how are you? Great to see you.
Good to see you. Oh, so wonderful to see you. Yeah. This is a big deal for me. I've been interviewing people for so long, for I don't know about 200 episodes. But for you, I prepared. I write notes, and I thought about what I should ask you about this and that. So first of all, question: did you steal candies from your kids on Monday night?
Um, Not yet, but I probably will.
I remember when my son, used to go pick up the candies, and I came home like, oh my god, like a two big buckets of candy. What are you gonna do with those, right? So I would just like in the middle of the night, I come up and then I would just like steal, half of it, store it
It is
away.
excessive. There is a bit too much, but I haven't gotten around to taking any yet.
So wow, it's been a while. I want so many things I want to ask you. Remember during the campaign, you're everywhere on TV, and you do the skateboarding, you do dancing, you play the piano. So I was wondering, like, as a musician, I don't know how serious you play the piano, but you definitely can play. Um, do you think playing musical instrument helps? Someone's discipline and motor skill and even math? What do you think?
Yes, I played piano for 12 years from ages 5 to 17, and I didn't always like it, but I really grew to appreciate it at various points. And I think it helped my discipline, my math, my rhythm, maybe. Um, and there were a lot of times when I was an adolescent when I wasn't sure what to do with myself for a particular period of time, and I would just go practice piano, and you would get better. You would learn. You know what I mean? You'd start a piece and not know how to play it, but then just think if I apply myself for a certain period of time, I should be able to learn how to play it. And then you do that over and over again. And so I think it's a really good process.
Yes, yes, yeah. I play the violin and viola from very young age, and I think it helps me now to be disciplined. I definitely so, and then the rhythm. So I feel like when I cut my film, I know when to stop, when to move. So I think knowing music helps. Some young man actually mentioned that a couple of times. They said, "Would you like to play with Andrew, play like a serious piano and viola sonata?" Would you ever like practice?
It would be way too much effort for at least me to practice to a point where
Yeah.
I'd be any good. One other thing that was very useful about playing piano was that I could type a
Oh,
lot
quicker.
of words per minute
Yeah.
from a young age because the first time I sat down to a keyboard and learned how to touch type, then all of a sudden I was like, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. So I think that was handy too.
That's great. That's great. I wanted to thank you for coming to my show. It's a major deal. I also want to thank people who were waiting there for a long time and Revolution. Hi, Ariel. And I want to see more. Is the funniest name, and a lot of people scope. We have Yunjie there. We have she there. Let's say Nick's there. Nick is there. Yeah, my partner in crime. And then Brian, how are you? And then we have more people. Jaco let go. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce, but many people. Thank you so much. Now, Andrew, I actually was worried about you during the campaign. It's like your schedule is so crazy. Every day you have like 4, 5, or 6 events. So I just want to know, how did you, or how do you now like deal with that? Like, do you have a routine, take a vitamin, or I don't know, having, like meditation or do yoga, or what do you do to keep yourself not going crazy?
Well, it was different at different times. I think the presidential was a different type of exertion, I suppose. Like I would do 4 or 5 events a day. It's true. And then you pile into the rental vehicle between events. I think one of the things I would do is that I would still have my stupid forms of escapism, whatever they were. So one of them consistently for me was just keeping up with sports. So even during the presidential campaign, I'd be looking at NBA box scores and just trying to act like a normal person. Some form of exercise somewhat regularly is very helpful for me. It's a plus if it's outdoors. When I was running for office, I was hit or miss on whether I would exercise. But those are some of the things that help me. Being alone, not having to think for a particular period of time. So at the end of a day of campaigning, I might just turn on the TV and just watch sports for an hour just to unwind. Anything that made me feel like I was still a normal person. Yeah. So,
So, so how do you eat? Chinese people were into eating, like what was your routine? Do you have someone buy food for you, or you order from Uber Eats? How do you deal with the food?
well, on the campaigns, the team would try and keep me stocked with snacks. And I had a few snacks I would go do consistently. Skinny Pop was probably number one because I convinced myself that popcorn wasn't unhealthy. So I would just be eating popcorn all the time, mixed nuts, Kind bars. I had a lot of Kind bars. So those were some of the go-tos on the trail. When I'm left to my own devices, like a day like today, I probably would go Uber Eats or just try and order some not terribly unhealthy food, which I'm kind of hit or miss with because a lot of the food you order in is not really good for you. I don't cook very much for myself. In my own defense, I can be very, very Spartan in terms of my appetites, where it used to be that I would just, like drink a protein shake for breakfast or something like that. So there were times when where I can, like I don't have very sophisticated tastes, I guess, and I can eat the same thing over and over again and not care or think about it.
Wow. That's interesting. Now,
It's not. I mean, I'm not very interesting in that way. It's like like so that there are some skills as a guide you might want, like being able to cook a really good meal for your date or something like that. That was never me.
Well, Evelyn's lucky.
Well, I'm lucky that Evelyn didn't need that because I cooked dinner for her once and she was like, "You don't need to do that again." And I was like, "All right, good."
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I was, I am a mom and you're a father. I was just wondering, I used to say to people, I say, I become a better person when I'm a mom. So I wanted to ask you, like, how do you feel that? Like, do you feel you're a better person when you are become a father, and in what way?
If I'm generous to myself, then I would say yes. I became a better person when I was a father. Now, I think that for a guy is a particular thing. Like a guy friend of mine who also became a dad said it's the first time in your life where you can't just apply yourself more or work harder and it fixes the problem. Like that, there's this set of capacities you have to have around nurturing and helping someone learn, and it's not like it's a different sort of accomplishment, like let's say you're a bit of a workaholic, which I kind of am, and then when you're around your child, then in like you're trying to read to them or you're trying to get them to read, and then they're reading really haltingly or slowly, and then there's this productivity part of you that's like, let me just read. but that's obviously not the point. Like the point is for them to learn, and so it gives you a different time frame and patience and a different form of accomplishment, and more empathy, on the good days. Like on the bad days, you're no better a person.
I just want to choke you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's really on good days. I was like, oh, like, I'm a better human than I was. And part of it too, where there are two things that go hand in hand, at least for me, where it's like you're a parent, yes, but you're also getting a little bit older, and so you see your child going through things, and you're like, oh, I remember going through that. It just stops being about you so much.
Yeah, yeah. I was wondering, do you ever regret that you don't speak much Chinese?
Sure.
Because lots of friends of mine, they're both Chinese parents, but their kids do not speak Chinese. So does your boy speak Chinese at all?
They had a Chinese nanny early on, and so they did, but then I think they forgot it, and now I don't even know if they have the bones of it in them.
Uh-huh.
When we tried it out on them, and they didn't. So we are bringing them to Taiwan over the holidays.
Mm.
So maybe it will bring something back,
Mhm.
but they're not exposed to it regularly now because we don't have Chinese speaking people around them, and
Mm.
Evelyn and I don't speak Chinese in the house that way.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, yeah. Speak of Evelyn, I saw Evelyn many times during 2020 campaign. So she's always very elegant and dresses really well. And so, did she ever did she ever try to manage your wardrobe for you when you in
She
the public?
she made me uh, more presentable at different times, where she would look at me and say, "Hey, like, you know, clean me up, or don't wear this, wear this." The primary groomer for me on the campaign was actually Zach, which I feel really bad about, because to have one adult male have to like do the other one's hair gel or whatever the hell, not what he
Yeah,
signed up for.
yeah.
But that was a true story, because Zach was around me more and was probably more with it in terms of men's fashion. So so Evelyn does do it sometimes, though. But she's not super consistent or vigilant about it. It's just
Mm.
if she's with me and going out somewhere, she'll be like, hey, you should do this or that.
That's nice. That's nice. So let's talk about how I got involved with you and the movement. I joined the Yangan quite not as early as other people, like 19, middle of the 2019. And after actually majority, the reason is because I read your book, The War on Normal People. I remember I got the book free on June 4th, 2019, in this intimate what do you call fundraising event, and I read it, and then I was like very fascinated, and then I tucked the book into my husband's bag when we went to a European trip, actually. And then I know he likes to read, so he read the whole thing on the plane, and then he became young gun too. So my point is that who the hell started Young Gan, the name? Do you remember who?
It was someone online. Someone just put Yang Gang as a hashtag, and then um, Zach and the team saw it, and Zach then wanted to run with it. But I don't know who actually used that hashtag that first time. I wish I did know, so we could give them credit. So thank you. And if anyone wants to track that down, um,
Yeah.
but I can rule some people out. Like I can definitely rule myself out. I can rule Zach out. I can rule my team out. It was genuinely organic, where someone just put it online on some post.
Yeah, I thought it's very funny, very funny. So
I guess I
now
can rule you out too.
no, not me, not me. So yeah, so it's quite a incredible ride for me to join again, and to be really moved actually by a lot of people who were behind you. I remember the first time was witnessed at what's the Washington Square Park. I was like, I didn't really know you, you know. I didn't really know. I didn't even went because of you. I just went because I wanted, you know, filming it. So I went and I was like, who the heck is this Andrew Yan? And then I turned around. Oh my God. There was so many people. So anyway, it was like a really amazing. So do you do so how do you feel when you're in a rally like that, and also when we were canvassing for you in Iowa, in New Hampshire, in the rain, in the snow, and how did you feel when you saw us or when you know we were there?
I felt super grateful and appreciative, and it made me energized to want to deliver for you, because imagine if you're me and then you see people who've arrived in Iowa to campaign for you, and it's cold and the rest of it. You're like, oh my gosh, like wow, like these people are awesome, and we really have a chance to do something great here. So let me do whatever my part is, and you know, and my part might be to go speak to a rally, or um, less so. It's like, 'cause I don't think I really thought of it in this way, like doing press. I didn't really think of like, ooh, let me really knock out this cable interview. I didn't really think like that. I naturally was more like, let me try and do a good job at this rally. I remember the Washington Square Park rally, and I think the same energy applied in a rally, where if you look out at a crowd of hundreds or even thousands, you think, oh wow, these people are here because they believe in something, in me, or this movement's ability to improve people's lives, and it just elevates your energy. You know, like you think, I need to channel these people's um, hopes, and then try and elevate them and myself for the moment. You know, and gosh, how many rallies did we have during the campaign? I mean, it was a number, depending on how you count a rally.
Yeah, I remember the stuck out for me, right? The Washington Square, and then we were chanting when you did not get on number 7 debate in Iowa. That was really really cold. Remember the debate you didn't get on, so we were protesting in front of the university. That was quite amazing. And also, we were also when you had an 8th debate in New Hampshire, we were outside. It was like, I don't know, so cold and raining. The wind just gusted to wipe all the boards off, and we were there for you before your 8th debate. Do you remember in the college?
I do remember those are really special times, and so those were January and February of 2020. And during that period, I, for the most part, felt so supercharged because we were driving uh, toward the caucus and then the primary, and there was just so much energy around the campaign. Thanks to people like you, and all the people certainly who showed up in Iowa. Anytime, like I was out and about the other day, and then someone said, "Hey, you know, I was in Iowa, saw you there," and I just feel this immediate connection and gratitude. It was a magical, special time. I still look back on it really positively. You know, down the stretch um, when uh, you know, we suspended. I mean, that was also like a very emotional time, but in the other direction. Um, yeah, it was times I'll never forget. I mean, thinking about them now, I mean, it's still, it's incredible too to think about the time frame, because we're talking about beginning of 2020. So you're looking at something like 2.5 years ago. And it both feels like a long time ago, but it also feels like not a long time ago at all. Like both simultaneously, at least for me. I don't know how other people feel.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Another very interesting scene I remember. Thank you for your quote for my Yangon Diary, the documentary I made. You said a beautiful film that will make you believe in people, and it's very touching. One of the things is very funny. Is that you? you took a jet coming from Iowa to New Hampshire, um, February the 4th, right? So yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that. So that night we stayed and we stayed at Jack's house. We tried to wait for the result, but there's no result. So we went to bed at 2:30. We means a lot of young guy in his house. And then at 3:30, Jack is knocking on our door. Get up, get up, get up. So we all we hopped into his car, his van, and we drove to the airport. And that was just so amazing. So we like a curse, we say bad words, and it's like, but I didn't cut that in the movie. Oh, a little bit, but that was pretty amazing when we get there and you come out, from the airport. How did you feel then? I mean, I think you're a very good actor because the situation is not good, right?
Yeah, so Iowa put a brave face on it, but it didn't go as well as we'd hoped. We were below the 15% threshold in the vast majority of the caucus sites. And so because they hadn't reported results, you could claim like ambiguity or whatnot, but we clearly hadn't done as well as we wanted to. So we had to put a brave face on it. Um, and then after we landed in New Hampshire, I think the first day, my team sat me down and said, "Hey, we should talk about suspending the campaign." And I remember when they said that to me, it felt like someone punched me in the stomach. Like it felt like I was there, especially because I'd been campaigning really hard up to that point, and this was like the inner circle, so they were clearly thinking about it. And it took them a while to talk me into it, but they did talk me into it. And I even said, I was like, "Look, like let's campaign our hearts out in New Hampshire, and then if we don't break 15% in New Hampshire, then we can go down this plan that you guys are devising." But I will confess that at that point, even as I was campaigning in New Hampshire, like I'm not sure if anyone else could tell that maybe like the folks on the team didn't believe. Like I don't know if people who were around me could tell if there was any change, but I think on some level there was, because like folks are human. I mean, I think I kicked ass like for the rest of that week for the most part, but yeah, like like if someone was really close to us, maybe they could have like detected something.
Yeah, yeah. No, I could not detect at the time, and I was a little bit uneducated, actually, fine, a little bit naive. We actually canvassed for you in New Hampshire the morning of the February 11th. Yeah, we went to knock on doors with with Nick. Yeah, so Nick is in the audience. Thank you, Nick. Yeah. So well, let's talk about forward now. For someone, I read your forward book, and I read it. I listened to it because I like to listen to it when I'm also like doing like sleeping. Even I was listening. I listened twice, or twice your book. It's so the way you write. Are you always like this? Are you always a good writer when you're in school? The way you write is so personal, yet it's not like you're preaching. You're just like so your narrative is so clear but personal and real. I just love it.
Oh well, thank you. I did imagine or aspire to writing when I was a kid. I did win an essay contest in sixth grade or something like that. Uh, but I didn't study writing. I studied economics and political science. I did go to law school, though law students don't write a whole lot. I don't know if people know that. Uh, so my first real shot at writing was when I wrote a book about Venture for America in 2014. And I think I got better after that. I think writing a book is very, very helpful to try and make you a better writer. I think the War on Normal People was a better piece of writing than my previous book. I don't know how Forward compares to War on Normal People. I do like both of those books. But for both War on Normal People and Forward, I was genuinely trying to figure something out. Where War on Normal People, I went off on this quest to figure out whether there was this thesis around the economic transformation and whether that led to Trump. And the evidence was so much stronger than I could have imagined. When I started actually like doing the research, I was like, holy shit, like this doesn't just add up. Like this is like the most thorough picture. And I did feel like that I got to that same point with Ford, where I set out to answer a question like, why do I feel so despondent about the direction of American politics? And then I answered it, and I was like, oh, I guess that's why. I'm a big believer in writing, in large part because I think it just helps you structure your thoughts. One thing I'm a big believer in is writing down your goals. And when I say writing, I don't mean like publishing a book, though. If you publish a book, great. But I did a whole lot of writing for years with no intention of ever writing a book. My first book was published in 2014, which means I was 39 at the time. So you can do a lot of writing between 5 and 39, and like not be thinking about writing a book. But the single best thing to do is write down your goals, because if you write down your goals, then like magic, you'll find yourself moving toward them. And I did that in my 20s and ended up achieving a shocking number of them, including some goals that were ridiculous. But some of those goals ended up informing my later decision to run for president and other things. Like one of my goals was to try and improve millions of people's lives. Like who the hell's going to improve millions of people's lives? But I just wrote that down. I was like, yeah, maybe I'll figure out a way.
Now, it puzzles me a little bit. Do you make notes during your campaign or during your mayoral time? Because your book came out October 2021, and you started mayoral January 13, and you ended in June 2021. So in such a short time, how did you manage all these thoughts and facts and dates and whatever the heck, all these things?
Yes. So, okay. So the presidential campaign ends in February 2020.
Yeah.
I'm pretty exhausted. I go home. I start Humanity Forward because like I feel like we need to try and push, UBI or child tax credit. But then COVID hits, so right. we all go home. Right. And then I get a deal to write a book in March. And what happened was I had a team around me still, and they were like, "Hey, Andrew, you're really like relevant right now because they're giving checks out." And you so how about writing a book? And I will say this to you, Ching. I was like, I'm kind of tired. Like, I don't think I have it in me to write a book. And they were like, well, let's just get you this deal, and then worst case scenario, you can push the time frame back. So I get this book deal in March or April. We're all trapped at home. And then I write forward essentially every night from April through December of 2020. So because we're just Zooming, I'm like a surrogate. Like we were doing a lot of Zooming during that time. Went down to Georgia, did a bunch of things. But essentially between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. every night, I would be reading and researching for this book. And I finished the manuscript before January 13th. And the grind was in December, where I was like, I need to fucking finish this book, because if I don't, I'm never going to finish this book during the mayoral, because the mayoral is going to be like, I'm not going to have any like spare bandwidth to work on a manuscript. So I handed in the manuscript, like January 6th or something like that.
Oh.
And then the mayoral campaign went from, January through June or so.
Yeah.
And then my publisher comes back to me and is like, hey, like, now that you're done, let's publish this book as quickly as possible. And the manuscript is done. And so, like, just make some edits and go from there. So that's how it ended up happening. I figured out all this stuff. I figured out in Forward during 2020. I figured out that we were going to need a third party. And my master plan was to run for mayor of New York City, and then declare myself an independent / new Forward party from City Hall, thus kicking off the third party movement.
Wow.
In a way that would have been really, really difficult for anyone.
Nice movie.
Yeah, right. So and so really, I'm kind of like, I'm kind of like looking at it, because like I finished the manuscript in 2020. I said, okay, we need to start a third party. What are my courses of action? And then I thought, well, running for mayor, if I win, I can declare myself third party. Now I'd have to wait a minute, because like I'd have to go through the with the Democrat primary and then general election as a Democrat, and then I'd probably need to wait until the like getting sworn in and then be like, hey guys, I'm not a Democrat. so that was the plan. That was plan B. Plan A was to do what I did, which is because I was like, hey, you need to start the third party. I feel a little bad for my publisher, because my publisher, after I concluded the book, being like, hey, we need to start a new party. And then for them, it's like, well, if you're running for mayor, we can't do it until after you're done. And then it was like, hey, if I win, like we still can't publish it until the following year, because I need to stay a Democrat until.
Oh my God.
So I felt bad for my publisher, but whatever. What are you gonna do?
Oh, that's really funny. Wow. So, yeah, I was wondering. I was asking. I interviewed Nick last week. I was like, when did Andrew Yang, decide to become a forwardist? Looks like he's already decided before. So I was right, actually. So, all right. So let's talk about a little bit. For those of you guys haven't read the book, please get the book. What were you giving for free, right? Andrew?
I mean, at this point, I if there was an easy way for me to ship it all, I would
buy the book, you guys, and also get the audiobook. Yeah. Now, can you summarize some of the key things to people who don't know what the heck is forwardist and forward movement?
Yeah. So I tried to figure out why I felt so negatively about the future of American politics. And then when I was researching and writing this book in 2020, I realized that it's because our two-party system is set up to fail and to turn us against each other and to result in acrimony and inflammation and polarization and eventual conflict. And it's going to get worse, not better. The forces are getting more powerful. And the only way out of it would be to change the incentives that underlie the system, which involves structural changes like ranked choice voting and nonpartisan primaries. Though there's no way to make this happen from within the two-party system. So you would need to start a positive, unifying third-party movement to effectuate these changes. So I figured this all out in 2020 and concluded that it should be called Forward. And I think I say in the book too, it's like, look, like it's going to be very hard, but I'm one of the most logical people to do it. So like I'm hereby doing it. So that's how I came to the need for Forward. Though the book is much better than my summary just now. So please don't let that dissuade you from buying the book, because the book is genuinely like a better read than whatever I just said.
So you know what, the forward, the word is so it's such a good word. You know why? Because when I say I look forward, right? So I look forward to seeing you. So forward is there, So I was like,
people end up using it all the time, whether they want to or not. It's like, oh, I'm just trying to move forward. It's like, yeah, you are. And it's hard to be against forward too. It's like, what are you going to be, like backward? Is that the win or?
Yeah. But in your 2020 campaign, you already have started humanity forward. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And also one of our taglines is not left or right, it's forward, in reference to human-centered capitalism. Yeah. Not left, not right, forward.
Yeah, awesome. So I we have a lot of people here. They're making comments. Thank you so much, and I really appreciate you guys. So if you have any questions, you can write. So far, I just see all of you are making really positive comments. It's very sweet. Now, Andrew, you your path of becoming who you are right now is not like the most traditional way of sort of Chinese parents wishing their child to be. You went to Brown, you went to Columbia, you become a lawyer, and you worked as a lawyer for 5 months, and you quit. And I read on your, what do you call, Wikipedia, uh, you said something. Let's see. After graduating from law school, you began your career as a corporate lawyer, and you later described the job as a pie eating contest. And if you won, your prize was more pie. That was so funny. So can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I did say that in an interview. So if you don't know that much about corporate law, you're trying to make sure that these complicated transactions are legal. And so you have to go through a lot of very detailed paperwork. And then my joke was that if you do a lot of paperwork really, really well, at the end they just give you more paperwork. So that was why I compared it to a pie eating contest. And it wasn't my joke, by the way. Someone else told me that joke, and then I just recycled it. But I'm really glad that I left that job, even though I had a rough few years afterwards. But yeah, that's I became a minor patron saint of people trying to leave big law firms. That there was one time a law firm brought me in to try and talk people into leaving. Because it was like a recession. They're trying to get people to go, and it wasn't working. Anyway.
So how do you how do you tell younger people or people who are in law school right now, like what would you advise them? I know it's a very individual thing, it's not for you, but in the other hand, can you give us a scoop of your sort of a taking on this? People pay so much money to go to law school, and then they come out, they may possibly be making a lot of money by being a lawyer, but there you are, you were a lawyer, but you quit. So I just wanted your takes for young people.
Yeah, they're very, very different profiles, and like different trade-offs and choices. I did give a commencement speech at my alma mater, which is Columbia Law, and I said a couple of things that I would stand by for people in that situation, which is that that they should try and do something that stretches them and their career aspirations. That they should try and find something that they think is important, that they care about, and that if they work on that, then they'll find other people working on it. And to try and create, like you have, frankly, through your creative endeavors, Ching, but to try and create a marketplace for yourself rather than just do what the marketplace wants you to do. Because if you're a talented law school graduate, there's a market for you. Like there'll be people say, "Hey, I've got some contracts for you to read. You should do this," and you're like, "All right," and then you do that. But the more interesting stuff happens when you try and figure out what you want there to be a market for. And I used my presidential run as an example, saying no one knew that there was a market for candidate on universal basic income, but I thought there would be, and so I went out. And by the time I was in position to create these markets for myself, I was already in my, like 30s or 40s and like an established professional and all that jazz. So I say it up front. It's like it's really tough advice to follow, but I think if you have certain risk tolerance, we should be asking some of our more talented people to be taking those kinds of risks, because we kind of need we kind of need some changes around here. You know what I mean? Like if everyone just shows up and does what the marketplace wants them to do, like, and by the way, I have no problems with people doing that. Like, because for a lot of people, that's, the right thing. And you might have like commitments and obligations I didn't have. But big picture, if you want societal change, like someone needs to push the envelope, and it might as well be someone who is smart and well educated.
Yeah. So how would you, another question related to education, people are going to medical school or law school, ended up having so much debt after their school. It could be 100,000, could be 200,000.
Yeah, I
So
owed 100,000.
how you so you write more books. So cover. So this is a really one of the problem, right? In America,
Yeah.
education is so expensive.
Yeah. It's a bit of a disaster. So I owed 100,000, and it constrained my choices. Though I pretended it didn't exist, and I just kind of meandered through. It was very unwise. Like again, I'm not sure following my advice is a good idea, but but America has a number of setups like that where you wind up super indebted, and then your flexibility is limited. It's one reason why the Biden debt forgiveness thing. It's like I again, like, I don't know if people know this, but I said, look, you shouldn't just focus on the segment of the population that has college debt. Like, we should be trying to forgive medical debt too, or like things that just apply to everyone.
Mm.
But I'm cool with trying to get people out from under life-changing debt, because there are a lot of people stuck. And if we freed them up, I think good things would happen. I would just wish we could free up more people, and that it didn't seem like an us versus them, or like a, like college versus non-college, or whatever it is.
Right. We have someone from Australia ask a question. Says, given current global dynamics, does Andrew see the Forward Party going global?
Wow, so interesting. I'd be pleased if it did. I mean, there are versions in other countries. One of the things that people did talk about to me was whether we're inspired by Macron in France, who ended up running as this new third party and ended up winning. So I hope that other countries do wind up having a new political dynamic that gets introduced by the people that are there, if they feel like the system's not delivering, which is certainly true in America. And I think is unfortunately a challenge that multiple democracies are dealing with. I will say also, Australia, I think you're ahead of us in that you have ranked choice voting. So, we could learn from you.
That's great. Yeah. So now let's see. I wanted to can you just talk to me about one more time? I kind of know ranked choice voting. Can you just talk to me and people like me, not 100% understand how this voting system can
Let's ask our
be
Australian
better?
friend so ranked choice voting is a system where you can rank multiple candidates, first, second, third, and whoever gets 50.1% first wins. So if no one gets 50.1%, then you take the weakest candidate and reassign their votes to the second choice until someone gets over 50%. Now, why is this so cool? Number one, you could vote for anyone you want. There's no need to be worried about a spoiler. You can vote for a minor party candidate first, and then your major party candidate second, and then like people's true preferences get taken into account. It helps women and helps underrepresented minorities. It makes sure that candidates actually have 50.1% appeal, which would mean that, for example, Trump would have really struggled in a Republican nomination because he had his like really fixed, excited 30 to 40%, but would he have gotten past 50%? Don't know. And by the way, if you're forward, it means that you can have new parties actually enter and compete. Because right now, what's the main argument against parties? Be like, oh, you're going to mess it up, you're going to spoil it. And if you have ranked choice voting, then no one can spoil anything.
Wow, that's good to know. Now, in terms of forward party, right? What is the sort of a realistic expectation for us, for you, to see it will become a party that people can vote on the ballot? How long does it take?
We should be on the ballot in 15 states by the end of this year. We're on the ballot in Texas and Connecticut now. Very exciting. And then 30 by the end of next year, and then all 50 by 24 or so. So call it 2.5 to 3 years to get there. Now, that would be a lot of success. It would mean that we had a ton of energy and volunteers and everything else. We're doing great so far, so we're on track. I will say that most people get much more excited if you have a candidate they care about in a race they care about. It's hard to get someone to care about something wonky like ranked choice voting or democracy reform or whatever the heck. They'd be like, huh? It's even hard to get someone to care about a human being running in for office, but at least that's more relatable because people tend to support other people. It's one reason why people ended up supporting my presidential campaign, which is like, okay, president I get. And then if you get, if you start thinking Andrew Yang or UBI is a good thing, then you're like, okay, like then, let's do this thing. So in some ways, Ford is going to wind up being energized by different candidates in different races where we can be opportunistic. So 2 things I'm going to suggest for Election Day, November, next week. Number 1 is Evan McMullin's Senate candidacy in Utah. He's running as an independent. And so if he wins, he ends up being a U.S. senator who is an independent and could immediately be like a third party leader because he's already said he's not going to be a Republican or a Democrat. So people are like, oh, how long is Ford going to take? It's like, well, you get Evan McMullin in, then like you might have an independent senator in 3 months. Another major opportunity is the ballot initiative in Nevada that would switch them to nonpartisan primaries and ranked choice voting. So when you see like what is the time frame on Ford, it depends upon whether we win a race here or there's another candidate that emerges, because Evan is sort of unusual. And most of you might not know this, but Evan ran for president in 2016 as an anti-Trump candidate. So how quickly we grow will be based upon some candidates and races and ballot initiatives that we can't know fully ahead of time. But I'm really excited about how well we're doing thus far. I mean, we're already the 3rd biggest party in the country by resources only a year in.
Wow, that's great. That's great. I was going to ask you about midterm, and you're going to Nevada this weekend, right? So
yep, going to Nevada to back up that ballot initiative and campaign with some local candidates.
Yeah. So I voted yesterday early. Oh, can you see the bracelet?
I can. Yeah, looking good. Nice work.
Yeah, I also made a short video, like 3 minutes. I stood down in Manhattan. I live in Upper West Side, and I went to the precinct and then talked to, I don't know, different people, asked them why they vote. So I made a short video. So tell people, because I know a lot of people, young or old, they think a midterm is not that important. Can you just give a little spiel, please?
This is a very important midterm. You have the balance of power in Congress. You have gubernatorial races that are going to be like New York's gubernatorial race is actually competitive. And the governors are going to have a lot of influence and say over tons of important issues. So if you haven't voted already, you still have 6 days, but do make your voice heard because this is a really, really important midterm. And if you do know any people in Nevada, tell them to vote yes on 3. If you have any friends in Utah, tell them to vote for Evan McMullin for U.S. Senate. And if you want other candidates to back, Forward Party has endorsed about 27 candidates all over the country. So, you can check it out. But most importantly, just make sure and vote for the people you think are going to try and do the right thing. I do have a bit of a penchant too, whereas like, if you're not sure and you don't know what's going on, try and figure out who's for like an independent approach to politics. Because in a lot of our elections right now, frankly, your vote will not matter in terms of who's going to win. Like, it's baked. So if you want to try and figure out whether there's anyone who you can support for the future, it could be of interest. In some of the races, though, like, your vote is definitely going to actually maybe impact a real outcome. So it's important you vote.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. We have one question from Sue. What does Andrew think about the Portuguese approach to drug use? Question from Lisbon, Portugal.
Yeah, the data has been really promising and positive, where that they've decriminalized various substances, and the health outcomes have improved. The criminality's gone down. I'd like to see that replicated and emulated, at least in different communities in the States, to see if it would follow suit. But the data that I've seen has been really promising.
That's wonderful. Excuse me. All right. So, Andrew, it's almost 5 o'clock. I know you're a very busy person. Shall we do the rapid fire?
Yeah, let's go. Rapid fire away.
Rapid fire. Okay. Favorite color?
Blue.
Vitamin you take?
I do look like blue. Like navy. Navy.
Vitamin you take?
C.
That's a good answer. D. You take some D.
I should take some D too.
All right. So what do you eat for breakfast?
What's my go-to breakfast? Oh, it's like I do have one.
Bagel.
It's escaping me. Oh, so my treat is a bagel sandwich, like a whole wheat bagel with egg. But I don't have that most days. What do I have most days? Like mixed nuts, some granola, kind bar, something like that. That's my customary breakfast. It's pretty lame.
All right, so you're a Chinese descendant. I have to ask this question. What is your favorite Chinese dish?
Favorite Chinese dish? I'm a sucker for a good Singapore mee fun. Just like the
it's Singapore. I love Singapore mee fun.
I'm glad you like it. Maybe if you just like straight up Chinese, I suppose like guotia or pot stickers.
Yeah, guotia. Yeah. Oh, anyway, let's see. Oh, junk food. What is your favorite junk food?
Unfortunately, I do like myself some junk food. The first thing that comes to mind for me is popcorn, but maybe that's too healthy. I still really like barbecue potato chips.
That's a good one. That's a flavorful. All right. Name 2 most romantic things you have done for Evelyn in last year.
In the last year? Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
Like 2.
So just under the wire, I did a good job with her 40th birthday party last year. Like, bunch of friends, romantic environment. So I have not been a phenomenal spouse all the time over this last number of years. But I did do a good job as the host, and I gave a nice toast too. It was about her sense of time. So that was quality. What else have I done that's romantic in this last year? Wow, the second one, I'll have to give some thought to.
Did you ever take her to a dance or a nice dinner?
We did do a nice dinner in when we were visiting her parents, so that did happen.
Yeah.
Nice dinner by the beach.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. What is your favorite video game?
Street Fighter 2 popped into my mind as like the teenage game that I was super into.
Yeah, my son used to play game. It's just like I hate it. So, music. What kind of music do you listen to when you drive long distance?
I've been long distance. I've been listening to 80s music more and more. In terms of contemporary artists, this could be kind of funny to you, to everyone, maybe. But the accompaniment. So, when I was writing this book between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. every night in 2020, I needed something to listen to / watch, but it couldn't be too distracting. So, after lots of experimentation, I landed on the Taylor Swift Bad Reputation Netflix that I
Wow.
just hit play. And so now my kids know too, when I say, hey, who sings this song? The answer is always Taylor Swift. but, but
Wow.
but generally speaking, it's 80s music.
I see. I see. Yeah, I can relate to that. All right. So, all right. I'm gonna ask you a naughty question. Do you know a curse word in Mandarin?
I think so. It'd be like gan ma.
不对，不对，不对，不对。
Budway?
Yeah, I'll teach you off
Oh,
the line.
that's
Yeah.
fine.
I know I am perfect. I know you are perfect. Name one thing you still think you want to improve.
Wow. A lot of things. A lot of things right now I need to improve. I mean,
Just one.
like right now, I need to go on a health kick. I think that I've been coasting, and I need to try and have some real goals and improve.
Great. Great answer. Yeah. Before my screen thing disappeared. This thing always disappears. I have one more question for you. So don't let me forget. My Young Gun Diary actually was delivered to Amazon Prime Video. Yeah, it's not live yet. But we don't know when. But it's live on Tubi TV now, which is free. People can,
Wow.
yeah, Tubi, yeah, people
I
can
will.
watch.
Everyone, check it out. If you haven't seen it, it's a beautiful film. It's a blast, and a lot of love and heart went into it. So check it out on Tubi, and sounds like on Amazon soon.
Yeah, hope so. Yeah, Tubi. So, yeah, thank you so much, Andrew, and let's see, I'll put my and where to find Andrew. He has all kinds of. I think mainly you use Twitter, right? So thank
Yeah,
you for.
go to andrewyang.com. Like, I try and post stuff there, but Twitter, I'm pretty good on.
Yeah, and check the website of Forward, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, and thank you so much, all these people here. And I cannot answer or post all your remarks or questions. Yeah, so but I will read them later. And last question for Andrew. I know you like tea, green or black?
Green, for sure.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Andrew. It's been my honor to have you, and so many people are here just to watch you. And we want you to succeed, and we want you to do great. And I will be there for you when you need us, need me.
Oh, Ching, it's so lovely and grateful. I mean, I like, it's so lovely, and I'm so grateful. But it's just, yeah, it's great to be able to connect with you like this in like a fun human way. I'm glad that people are keeping up with you and your work, because you're like this awesome creative powerhouse. And hopefully, I mean, like this time, it's not a good time for a lot of people. It's something I keep in mind myself. But you and this venue, and I'm sure that people who are here, it's really uplifting, and the world needs more of it. So thank you for bringing me here and bringing us together, and thank you for all of your support and friendship. It's meant a lot.
Thank you, Andrew. Well, have a great night, and everybody, young again. Thank you for coming, and yeah, we'll see you soon.
Bye, everyone. Support good people. Let's make good things happen.
Yeah,
Appreciate
go
you all.
vote. Go
Bye,
vote.
Ting. Oh yeah, vote. Watch your video. It'll inspire you to vote.
Oh yeah,
Bye,
watch my
everybody.
video. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. Hey, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I really I'm very grateful, and I cannot really like try to ask him questions, and also to uh post all your writing. So I really appreciate you being with us today. So let me let me just thank some people. How about from backwards? Oh my god. Oh, backwards. Okay, yeah. Maybe may better days. Oh my god. Dennis is here. I didn't see you, dear. Um, Kathleen Darling, hi. Um, Abasulashi, she, hi, how are you? You crushed it. I didn't see you make questions, so I was like too busy listening to him, and this needs like two-person job. Yeah. Thank you, Madred. Thank you, Ranger, and AACA, Asia. Hi, Asia, and Elizabeth. Thank you. And thank you so much, Jeckalego. Sorry, I'm terrible. That's my weakness, is I don't know how to pronounce people's name. I only have one weakness. Yeah. Thank you, Juhl, my son. Thank you, Dala. Thank you, Sharkfin. And thank you, let's see, Bryce, Brice. Hi, Bryce. Thank you, Inka. Thank you, Red Talks Tech. Thank you, Asia. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Nick, of course. Sue and Elizabeth. Uh, wait, OND. And I think it's, yeah, many of you, I see you here and make questions and make great comments. So I'm going to close this. And don't forget to watch my Yangon Diary on Tubi TV. Tell your friends about that. It's free. Now you have no reason not to watch it. So yeah, until next time, and have a great Wednesday night. Bye now.